Are you ready?
Agility from the champion.
Oh,
Six! That could be it. Delivered this deep six.
This is your WWE Royal Rumble post show. We are back with our first post show since SummerSlam. I'm happy. I'm excited, ready to get this new year underway. But I am joined tonight by the returning Joe Aguila. How you doing?
Wayne, what's going on, man? It's been too long.
It has been a bit. I was explaining a little bit the other night on our post show. I'm sorry, the review show for that we did the predictions. That life just got crazy
Yeah, man.
in the fall, and now that I'm settled in and where I'm at right now, I'm ready to go
Yeah, dude.
and ready to start this new crazy year. It has already been, and we're not even 31 days through the first year yet.
Hey, man, I'll
This
tell
is
you,
nuts.
Royal Rumble
No
is
pun
such
intended.
a Royal Rumble is such a great time to kind of, relaunch because it's the start of the new year, but it's also the road to WrestleMania. And so and I'm sure we're going to get into it, but like a lot of things are, heading into different and new directions. And as you said, like things just get a little crazy. And the same with me. Now I have two kids both of them are in school now, and it's just been nonstop. Go, busy, and it gets crazy. I mean, there's a lot of people can probably relate to, but nothing better than professional wrestling and Royal Rumble, especially Royal Rumble, to bring us back together. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure. It is such a marquee event. In my opinion, this is the second best event of the year. Kicks off WrestleMania season. WrestleMania 40. My gosh, I remember WrestleMania 30 telling my buddies WrestleMania 40 will be here before you know it.
Yeah,
And you know what? It's here. My goodness. And WrestleMania 50 would be another 10 years from now. And that would be
that's
like,
it.
it's going to go fast. We're not even going to think about that
10
because the last
years.
10 years have gone super fast. We're not going to think about the next 10 years. We're going to enjoy the moment. This week, some big news. Raw is going to Netflix in January 2025. They don't have a home for 3 months after their deal runs out the end of September. Raw will have to be on another channel, or the streaming service might pick them up for just the 3 months, or probably going to go on Peacock, if I have to guess.
Yeah.
NBC would love that extra money, so that's probably what's going to happen. This Raw would be on Peacock, and even into 2025 in Netflix, Nick Khan wants to keep it on Monday nights. Then we had the other news: Vince McMahon out of here. He
Yeah,
is
dude.
done. He's done his crap. No pun intended. Caught up with him, so he is out. But seriously, it's a very, very unfortunate situation, and it basically just left a dark cloud over the whole week in the wrestling world, and even over Royal Rumble weekend. Um, I really want to say though that the Royal Rumble delivered for the most part, and uh, I think was a good enough show to take our minds off of the other stuff that was going on. And then The Rock is going to be on the board now, so we have The Rock who's going to be um, having some say between UFC, WWE. He'll probably be on the WWE side of things, and but yeah, a lot of changes, a lot of big news that came out of this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned how with the news about Vince McMahon, there's no better time for Vince to leave than for now when things are heading in such a Vince free direction. And you can see that straight from the programming on TV to the way that they book the Royal Rumble. Like, we are getting ready to be a completely Vince free world of professional wrestling. And unfortunate events have, had to happen for Vince to kind of really take a step back. We were down this road not too long ago, right? Where, things were brought up in terms of fraud or whatever it was with the business end of things with Vince, whatever it was that had him go away the first time. He even went on to a SmackDown that as soon as he could to cut a promo saying that Vince McMahon is forever.
That was all his ego.
You know what I mean? And it's just like now something like this happens, and not to go into detail or anything, but like,
Detail it was.
oh my gosh, it's
6-7 pages. It took me about an hour to read, and I kind of regret reading most of that because I was just out of most wrestling fans out of curiosity wanted to know what the heck going on. And
so the new internet lingo that I have heard is TLDR, too long didn't read. And so that's how I felt about that, and I'm glad I didn't read it. And I got the highlights, and I was just like, I just didn't.
Highlights are bad.
Oh, it's bad enough, and like I can't believe it just keeps going. I'm like, no, I don't want to. Like, the world had its chance to put Vince out to pasture, months ago, and guess what? He came back.
He forced his way in.
Now loopholes, right? Endeavor, TKO, getting onto their board. No, I walked away from WWE. I'm starting up a brand new thing. It's going to be a parent company, and I'm still going to be here. But it's just like, now I really do think, no, this is the nail in the coffin. This is,
Oh yeah, he is done, gone, finito,
yeah.
adios.
There's no coming back from this.
It's just sad to know that Vince McMahon's character, the stuff that he would do on TV, little do we know that stuff was playing out in real life. If you go back to watch his Attitude Era stuff, quite possibly that was giving us a hint as to what Vince McMahon was doing in real life too.
It's like, and again, I want to be sensitive to people who have been victimized, and I want to be sensitive to that. It's a terrible situation, but at the same time, we still see here a billionaire with a tremendous ego and too much creative power, pretty much for the last 50 years being able to use real adults as like playthings, right? Playing make believe, like they're playing with like real life action figures in like they're toys, like they're expendable. And so like no wonder after decades upon decades of doing this that he has a disconnect and isn't really thinking about how people feel. It's sad when things like this come to light. Unfortunately, sometimes it's not that surprising, and it's even like you were saying, like it's even more shocking, like having now looking back at the Attitude Era and a lot of the things that they tried to get away with. It's like, yeah, you're right. Like, this is what he was comfortable with putting on TV, let alone what he's comfortable doing behind closed doors. But regardless, again, my thoughts go out to those who have been victimized by situations like this, who want to be sensitive to that. At the same time, Vince McMahon is still Vince McMahon. And I said this back when we were talking about when Vince McMahon was out the first time. Like, it was just like, Vince is Vince, but what he did for this industry and what he built, you unfortunately you can't deny it. And fortunately, though, that machine will still continue running without Vince.
Yeah, I mean, this Vince needed to be gone about 6 years ago, and
yeah,
forget about what he did in his personal life. It's just that in his delivery of content, all they cared about really is money. Vince cared about the money.
Yeah,
the money's there. Vince specifically and his team have been lazy booking for every single Monday night for 3 years plus before Triple H came in. Lazy booking. I'm talking about all they did was copy and paste from one episode to the next week, same stuff every single week. And it was getting very, very difficult to watch and to sit for 3 hours. Now, the 3 hours is a lot easier. I don't hear people complaining about the 3 hours as much anymore because it's easier to watch. matches are given quality time, so we're getting better. They're getting given more time, so we're getting better quality, and we're seeing stories played out. We're seeing different mix and matches of superstars every week. We're not seeing the same. I don't know if you noticed, we're not seeing the same people every week. It's kind of like an every other sort of with certain stars, and then your main guys, are, your Cody Rhodes are going to be there every week. Your Drew McIntyre is going to be there every week, but you got your Gunther, they'll be on every 1 to 2 weeks, and Bronson Reed and what have you. So the booking, the layout, it. I feel like I'm watching something fresh every single night. That wrestling is on, and we haven't had that in a very very long time. That's what makes me happy.
Yeah.
But anyhow, let's get to the Royal Rumble talk, shall we? Because um, we had a pretty good show. I didn't even bother taking any notes. I kind of just wanted to talk off the cusp tonight.
Yeah,
You
you know
know?
what? And it's easy because there's only 4 matches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. So I had gotten some alerts early on from Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp, the emails that were coming as I'm one of the subscribers, Patreons. So we get some of the news. So I knew the match order. I knew some of the spoilers even before the show started. We had a couple surprises. So that we'll get to in a moment. But the first match was the Women's Royal Rumble, and we called everything. Well, actually, I should say there was really no
Yeah,
we,
yeah, yeah.
because it was just me by myself on the prediction. So I basically called everything to the T, how everything was going to happen, and we were right. But generally, whoever's on our show is we generally get it right all the time, most of the time. So I called for 55% Becky chance of winning, or Bailey 45% chance, just based on how the storylines are going. So it was either Becky or Bailey for me, and we got Bailey. So how did you feel about the winner of this year's Royal Rumble, her first time winning?
I think it's long overdue. I think that Bailey is someone who I have a deep adoration for, because I was there in Brooklyn when she and Sasha Banks tore the house down, and she became the NXT Women's Champion. And during it was like that match where I was like, wow, that girl's got superstar potential. She's got everything going for her. And that was back then, back with like Bailey just getting out of like the hugging thing, and
Yes.
now fast forward years later, where every one of her contemporaries at the time have had, you know, Hall of Fame worthy careers. And then there's also Bailey, who seems to always be the bridesmaid, never the bride. Right. And yeah, sure, she's had world championships, and yeah, she's been featured, and I think has been a workhorse uh, in this women's division,
Yes.
especially during the pandemic. Like, she
Yes.
really took charge during that time. And so, of all the people in the Rumble who I thought could have won based on how they've been booked the last couple of years, you mentioned Becky Lynch. I would also mention Bianca Belair,
Yeah.
Nia Jax. There are a bunch of names who, like, it would make sense. You even throw in a Liv Morgan, who made a surprise return. Like, I just think, yeah, it would all make sense. But the person who I think needs to make the Royal Rumble even more legitimate for the women's division would be a Bailey win. Becky, she's already won. She would be the first 2-time women's, Royal Rumble champion. However, I don't think she needs it right now. Same thing with Bianca. You can give it to them in the next couple of years or whatever, especially if they are, as hindsight is now 2020. Like, if we already knew that Cody Rhodes is going to get his 2 in a row, you don't need a female superstar also getting a 2-time Royal Rumble champion. Give it to someone who's been there, who has been at the top of her game in the last couple of years, especially since that SummerSlam return where she came back as Damage Control. I think that give this stable its due, and I think it's time now to see where Bailey takes it from here. I think it's kind of written in the stars already that she can turn on Damage Control and maybe take on Io at WrestleMania, and I think that would be a really cool matchup.
Yeah, I think that's I'm leaning more towards where that is going for sure. Although
Yeah.
a week or so ago, Bailey was like, "I'm gonna go after Rhea Ripley, so Damage Control gonna have all the belts." I don't think that's gonna happen. I think there's gonna be some kind of diversion. Something's gonna happen within the Royal Rumble. I think, if I have to guess, I think Bailey comes out on SmackDown this week, in her promo, talking about a Royal Rumble win, and then she's gonna kind of go off on Damage Control, how they weren't there for her.
Yeah.
She did it on her own, which is true. And then I think from there we're gonna see Damage Control turn on Bailey, and then that would enable that. I think that would coerce Bailey to choose Io instead of Rhea. Would you agree with that?
My question to that would be would that be a double turn then? Would it be Oh no, it would just be a turn, like Bailey just turning face at that point?
Like Bailey would open her mouth as usual,
Yeah.
and then Io would just attack,
Oh, so it might
and,
be
and
Io
Damage
attacking?
Control would attack.
Yeah, I think if that's the case, then yeah, then you're booking Bailey out to be the underdog. Not really an underdog, but more the babyface champion, or the babyface that we're rooting for.
Challenger, yeah.
Right, the challenger. Thank you, the babyface challenger. I think that's the safest way to do it. Yeah, if you're gonna book Bailey versus Io, I think I would do it that way. But maybe I don't know maybe that this is too far, thinking out too far, but I don't think then Io loses it then at Mania. I don't know. I don't
It's
know.
very
It's
possible.
hard. It could be. I think that that's the matchup to go though, for sure. Somehow they got to land there. Whereas I think Rhea Ripley, she's got options. She's got options you can make it a triple threat with Nia Jax and Becky Lynch. You could do like maybe that'll be the elimination chamber match for the title or something. I don't know.
Mm, yeah. So there's plenty of, and now we got Becky as well. So Bailey's got her Royal Rumble title shot, and we assume she's gonna be with EL, and we automatically assume there's gonna be Damage Control turning. How that exactly plays out, we don't really know. But Becky, on the other hand, she is that is more likely to go through an elimination chamber match. I would have to guess, for the number one contender for the women's title. Same would go for the men's, which I would think later we'll talk about later. But I think that's how you go through that, or maybe you do like a number one contenders. I mean, not everything has to be an elimination chamber. Decide number one contender. You can even do it on Raw. Maybe a tournament or something. Just to kind of change it up a little bit. What do you think there?
Yeah, I think that for the women's division, there's a lot of options, especially after watching the women's Royal Rumble. You can see that there's a lot of options that you can go around with, especially with two women's championships as well. Now with the Royal Rumble, I'm sorry, with the women in the Royal Rumble, you saw a bunch of big names come out.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that you have to think about, like, where are these pieces going to fit, especially on our way to WrestleMania? Because I mean, even though there are two nights, I wonder how many women's matches, like non-title women's matches, we're going to see on either of the nights. But you can't put all of these women in title pictures, right?
No.
Jade Cargill, like she had a spectacular debut, I think. I mean, she came out at what was it, 28, 27, 28.
Yeah, right around 27. She was
I
in there
think,
for a few
but
minutes. Yeah.
late enough where she can make her moment. You could protect her. She doesn't need to be
Yeah, I
teased.
noticed that the camera was cutting away from her a lot, and that was just to not overexpose her.
Yeah, and you could. She very quickly. She did her spots in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, she would. I love the story that they told with Nia Jax yesterday, where no one could get her out. They even tried all together. No one could get her out. What are we going to do? And then Jade Cargill comes all by herself. That's how strong she is. So anyone who doesn't know Jade Cargill, anyone who's not an AEW fan also watching the Royal Rumble might not know who she is at all. Maybe you've seen a picture of her, or seen her, featured like, oh, guess who's here? But it hasn't been seen for months and now is here. The first thing you see is one, how chiseled she is, and two, she single-handedly took out Nia Jax, and that was her big moment there. And then, yes, she's throwing everyone around, but as soon as she gets hit, I got hit in the face. I'm gonna go down in the corner, cut away from her, let her rest, let her do her thing, and then she, was one of the final three, really. And then, it was, I think she was booked in the smartest way, and where she goes from here definitely needs to be a match at WrestleMania. My prediction would be Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. They had that stare down, they had that strong woman contest with the gorilla presses, and then
yeah, that's a solid prediction. That was definitely rumored option, but after what we saw yesterday, I'm thinking Nia, her first match is gonna be with Nia Jax, and Mike Mazza also seems to think so.
oh yeah,
I think we could get that first. You don't necessarily have to go to Bianca Belair right away, but it does have Mania match written all over it, so that's extremely possible too. Jade Cargill could get Nia Jax Elimination Chamber.
True.
Just to get kind of, that could be a first match leading up to WrestleMania. So we'll have to see what that's going to be like. Surprises. We like surprises. WWE wasted no time whatsoever for surprises. Well, number one was Naomi. The crowd popped for that.
Yeah.
I was happy to see her. I might get sick of her in probably 3 months or so. I'm not gonna lie. But
oh yeah, I'm already
really
sick
happy.
of like the glow gimmick. I was one of the many
Naomi
who
hair was pretty cool.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I think it's kind of cool. On a production standpoint, it looks great. For if you're looking at like little kids, especially like little girls who are
Yeah.
looking up at that, like they're and like it's gonna sell toys. It sells merchandise, right? But for me, I think that in terms of her coming back, it would have been, I think, a good opportunity for her to go by Trinity Fatu and kind of just been more of like a professional wrestler. However, having said that, as soon as she got into the ring and started moving around, I was like, okay, yeah, no, she's like the real deal. I love her moveset. She knows what she's working with, you know what I mean? And so like,
Sure.
I think that her name aside, her work speaks louder. So, and I'm excited to see what she does, now that she's, had her time away from WWE. And I know this is going to go to the next big surprise, but Naomi, as Trinity Fatu, became the Knockouts champion for TNA, and then just recently dropped it. And then that was everyone's telltale sign that, okay, Naomi's coming back, right?
Yes. Yep.
But no one was expecting the next surprise, which was Jordynne Grace.
So this
am I getting her name right? Jordynne Grace.
Jordynne Grace, yeah. So this particular one, I got the email from Sean Rossap about 7:30 or so, 7:00.
Oh wow.
That Jordynne Grace was in town, so I saw that. So it wasn't like a shock, but it's really cool though to see a partnership in a way. I mean, having her come out with the TNA Knockouts champion
with the title.
This would never happen under the Vince McMahon era.
Yeah.
No way. I would love to see more of this. I would like to see AEW, TNA, New Japan to kind of have a working relationship, because if everybody benefits from it, why not?
Absolutely. And you also have Pat McAfee, who acted like the casual fan, was like, "Oh, this is the champion from TNA," and you have Corey Grace. I'm like, "Yeah, she's from TNA."
Vince era.
And then Pat McAfee puts TNA over and says, "Wow, TNA has an absolute weapon for a champion." And like word for word, that's what he says. And I'm like, there you go. You have WWE announcers putting over TNA. Are you kidding
So
me?
here's the thing. I've heard rumblings of TKO buying TNA or buying their library or doing something, a
Good for
partnership with
them.
TNA. So
Yeah.
that's something to keep our ears open with. So I
Yeah.
think that's why that
Especially
was allowed to fly last night.
especially TNA's new rebranding and relaunching as Total Nonstop Action again. I think that's now's the time, and
Yeah.
especially it is worth mentioning Jordan Grace. While that is extremely surprising, because she's not she's a TNA independent scene, like not has nothing to do with WWE. However, I will say it's worth mentioning that Mickey James was TNA Knockouts champion, came out with the title. What was it? Maybe last year or the year
Yeah, a
before.
year or two ago. Yeah.
But she in her little title card it said TNA Knockouts champion. She had the title, but it's Mickey James. You know what I mean? And so it's just like it's cool that they mentioned like where she's at now, and she was able to carry her title with her. But it makes it even bigger when someone like a Jordan Grace comes in who, you know, no one knows who she is unless you're a fan of TNA, you know?
Yes, she's very, very extremely popular on the indie scene. If you're an AEW fan, you've probably heard of her.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, she's mostly indies. This is her first showing on WWE TV that I know of. Um, but for those of you guys that are watching, feel free to leave comments. We're gonna hit the comments in a second. Feel free to leave comments of your thoughts of what you thought about Royal Rumble. We want to hear them. We want to hear what you guys think of where we're headed to from starting from tomorrow through the road to WrestleMania predictions, whatever you want to vent about from the event, and just feel free to throw your comments on there, and we'll address them in just a couple moments. But yeah, so we had Liv Morgan that I knew about. No, actually,
Liv
I
Morgan.
lied. I didn't know about Liv Morgan. I knew she was close to coming back. I didn't know that she
Yeah.
was going to be at Royal Rumble. So that was kind of cool that they did that. I was expecting AJ Lee. We did not get AJ Lee.
Would have been cool. Would have been cool. But yeah, no, Liv Morgan came back, number 30, surprise comeback, return. She came out. I'm just gonna put that out there. I knew exactly what she was doing, coming out with like her Christina Aguilera "Dirty" music video costume on, and I'm gonna just put that out there. The teenage boy in me says thank you, and then we can move forward. But but yeah, I think she looked okay. I think booking her at 30 was probably the best thing for her. And she still looked like she could go. I forget that she was like the workhorse, the Iron Woman in like one of the past Royal Rumbles where she lasted a long time and had a really good showing. And the announcers did a good job at reminding us that she did quite a good job in the previous Royal Rumbles. However, I had no doubt in my mind that she was not gonna win. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Liv Morgan's back. She's not gonna win.
Mm.
You know, but yeah, I think that from here, I just hope that she just doesn't get like lost in the crowd.
Back to Jade Cargill really quick. I told the
Yeah.
guys in one of my chats, I was like, I was expecting 20 to 25, so she came after 25. It was like 27 or something. And I told the guys, I bet you, because they were building Nia Jax. They were building Nia Jax up to this point, making her look dominant. She was tossing out everybody. Nia Jax had a great showing.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I bet you Nia Jax is doing all this work looking dominant so that when Jade Cargill comes out, like
Yep.
this is gonna be for Jade Cargill, eliminate her to make Jade Cargill look good. And sure enough, that exactly happened. So it was almost like kind of like a predictable thing as it
Yeah.
was unfolding. Katana Chance, she's small, but she can work.
Yes. Yes.
Her and
She.
Carter, they got moves.
Yeah. I'm surprised that they dropped the belts.
Yeah, so soon. That was
They
Friday Night on
yeah, so
SmackDown.
soon. They just took it off with Chelsea Green and what's her name? Piper Nivens, but I think that she had a really good showing. She always I don't know if I don't have the Peacock Premium, so I didn't see any of like the previews or anything like that.
Mhm.
But she had that really cool Rumble spot where she did the handstand and then straddled the turnbuckle and then like crawled up that way during the Rumble. And so like that was, I think that I she could have done something like that. Not saying she didn't do a good job, but
Yeah.
it would have been cool to see a spot like that.
For those of you guys that don't know, Katana Chance was part of the American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah,
I think her name was like Casey Catanzaro or something like
Catanzaro.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's what
she
I
was
couldn't think of her in the first
phenomenal,
name. Yeah, yeah.
phenomenal athlete. So they had a good showing. Nia Jax had a good showing, very strong. Naomi did very good for her first time back, and we we saw what's her name, Natalia. She got eliminated early, and maybe something happens with that with her and what's her partner's name,
Tegan Knox.
Tegan Knox. So
Yeah, what
something
was it? It
could
was
happen
like,
with that, maybe.
yeah, that's what they were
Chelsea
looking at.
Green, that was great. The performances she put on and selling, like she was constantly Pat McAfee was referring to Chelsea Green as weekend at Bernie's. Like she just kept getting slammed in the corner and squashed in the mat.
Yeah.
Like that was like probably my favorite part of the Women's Royal Rumble, not gonna lie.
You need someone like that, I think, especially someone who can sell and someone who can be thrown around like that. You know what? She kind of reminds me of like the in the women's division, she's like the Miz, who I think can be the person who takes losses, who takes finishers, who gets beat, who gets thrown around.
Yeah.
But I think eventually you'll start to value that, and that value will help her rise up to the top of the division. But she does a great job with what what she is doing. So I just hope that that continues for her.
For sure. To get to a couple of quick comments here
Yeah,
before we get some more, we're seeing people getting more opportunities. Absolutely. Vince had an old school idea of talent. Triple H knows what he's doing with young talent. Absolutely. Like Triple H, you could tell his vision is unfolding, when he brought in, Gargano and his wife and what's his name?
Champa.
Well, Champa too. But the Aussie guy. Why am I drawing a blank right
Grayson
now?
Waller.
No, the fat one.
Oh, Bronson Reed.
Yes. So Bronson Reed. Guys like that, and Gunther's. Got his beat honky tonks, like all these different things.
Yeah.
You could tell have Triple H fingerprints over that, and going forward. And like I said, we see something different every week. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm
not
sure
the
we're gonna get
same
to. You're right,
shtick every
actually.
week, which is good.
I'm sure we're gonna get to it, but yeah, that guy. Would you mention Gunther and Imperium? Yeah, Ludwig Kaiser, but got his own spot in the Royal Rumble, and he actually he's right behind you. That's so funny.
Yep.
But he actually did pretty well.
Yeah. I like
Yeah,
Ludwig
you're right.
Kaiser. He's actually one of my favorites. Like his mannerisms are my favorite.
His
Like,
mannerisms are great.
yeah.
He's in great
No.
shape. He is another one. You can just throw him around. He's the one to take finishers for Gunther, so Gunther doesn't take finishers.
Yeah. So
You need people like this. You need guys like that and women like this.
absolutely. I hope we see. He also says hope we can see Becky versus Rhea. That's probably happening. Don't
Yeah.
want to see Rhea versus Belair again. That hasn't happened at WrestleMania though. They have not really done that on the main stage yet.
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley versus Belair is happening. I can tell you right now, Rhea versus Belair is happening. WrestleMania 41. I'm gonna
I
go
would
out
have
on a
been
limb and say 41.
I would have been far more interested if it was champion versus champion like they teased that one time. What was that? Was it Night of Champions or something like that? I forget when they had to stare down with each other. That was back when they still had the red and blue titles.
Yeah, they did a quick stare. They did a little quick stare down, just to tease it earlier this year, and
Yeah,
nothing ever
I think
happened with it.
I know. I think that would have been more interesting. But yeah, I think to Mike Mazzo's
We can't
yeah,
forget about
sure.
Tiffany Stratton.
Oh
Great,
yeah.
great showing, and she is going to be the main star of that division within the next 4 to 5 years.
Dude, she did a swanton into the whole crowd of women there.
Yeah,
It looked great.
yeah, she's good. She's got. I'm sure she's got like more work to do, but her feud that she had on NXT with Becky Lynch definitely paid dividends for sure, and I'm sure it helped her
Yeah.
grow. And basically, a lot of these veterans they go down not only to help pop a rating on TV, but they go down to get in the ring with these NXT stars to give feedback to these NXT producers to feel if these NXT stars are ready to come up on regular TV. So that's why Becky and Dominic, Rhea, they occasionally and other superstars occasionally go down
Yeah.
just to have that like veteran presence, just to kind of get some other feedback other than the producers backstage to see who's ready from NXT to go up. So that's that. So Tiffany Stratton, she's coming along very nicely. Moving on. We had the WWE Undisputed Championship match. Roman Reigns defending against LA Knight. Yeah. And Randy Orton and AJ Styles. I don't know how you felt about this match. Joe, I got to be honest with you. Like, I got a text from a friend saying the match was awesome. I I know it was a good match, but I automatically knew the winner of who this is already gonna be. Like WWE didn't give me any reason to believe why I should feel like that there could be a title change here. I knew Roman Reigns was not coming was coming out of the Royal Rumble with the belt. There's no way he was losing it to Orton, AJ, or LA Knight. Not this close to Mania, considering the plans that we believe that they have, so to speak. So, Joe, how did you feel about this match? I mean, I kind of had my head down. I was kind of in and out, paying attention, to be honest, as already knew what the result was going to be,
Yeah.
and I already knew that there was going to be shenanigans coming, which we did see, as always, because that seems to be the formula of every Roman Reigns match. So, how did you feel about this match before we move on?
I think that it was a crowd pleaser, and I think that in terms of a match, I think it was fine. But like we're saying here, I mean, we are so far into this Roman Reigns title run where it's hard for us to imagine him losing unless it was on a big stage and unless it's something like Cody Rhodes finishing his story, you know? Like and you paint the picture of a fatal four way, and immediately my mind went to, oh, great, Roman doesn't need to get pinned or submitted. But we barely saw, um, you know, that being done. Where I think that instead, what we got was a time for each superstar to have his time to shine. To look real strong against all the other three opponents. You also had a time where you had the three challengers ganging up on Roman Reigns, which I think was a smart way to go. And then you had Roman Reigns being the last one to have his time to shine, just to get BFT'd by LA Knight, and then Solo Sikoa coming in, making it a dirty finish like we knew it was going to be, and that then leading to the events of what happened at the end. Um, I think that overall it was fine. The match itself was fine. I just fear, what do you do with the three guys who weren't even in the Rumble at all? Like, what are you going to do with them on this road to WrestleMania? Put them in the Elimination Chamber, and then what? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where they go,
That's
but
exactly where they're gonna go.
right? Maybe
No,
have LA
actually, you
Knight
know
win the
what?
Money in the Bank eventually.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. That's not exactly where they're gonna go because, well, we're gonna
I
talk
don't
about it in
know.
a few minutes, but they'll have their own matches, which we'll get to in a second.
Sure.
But and it's we'll get to it soon, but I feel like this. it was very one-sided, the men's Royal Rumble. When it gets at, like, you knew, like,
Yeah.
it was Raw's superstar to win this year. It was just plain obvious, and Raw is just so top heavy than SmackDown. So it even, with these three guys, LA Knight, but Orton's just kind of like, he's still popular and everything.
It's a
But I
3-hour
just
show
don't,
versus a 2-hour show. You know what I
I
mean?
just
It's
don't
like,
see Orton and AJ as over as they really used to be. Orton's there, LA Knight's hanging in there,
hey, they both look great. Orton and AJ, they both look great. They're in
but they
great
were all
shape.
pigeonholed into a match that we knew that they were going to win. Unfortunately,
It was a cool spot on the card, but
yeah.
but in terms of long-term booking, like where do you go from here?
Oh, I know where they're
Not
going to go.
neither AJ nor I mean maybe AJ could use another title run, but Randy Orton a 15th title run would be really 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 cool, but it's just like
Well,
I
with the
don't think
two
they need it.
championship belts, that's very possible that he could see a title belt eventually.
Yeah, but
I
we
just
need to
don't
see
think
these
it's going to be
champions
in
lose.
2024, though.
Yeah, I don't know. But if we need if we're looking at Roman Reigns going to WrestleMania, as champion, now is like why not close that chapter? Why not take it off of him at this next WrestleMania? But is that too predictable? Like I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I could
I
see
see it.
a world where Roman Reigns just doesn't lose it in the near future nor in the
I,
long term future.
I don't want to see that world, but I'm going to tell you why Reigns is losing that title at Mania. I'll tell you why when we after we
Sure.
close out the Rumble talk. I'll tell you why that Reigns is losing it at this year's Mania. I'm very confident about that. Let's get to the U.S. title match really quick. We had Logan Paul defended against Kevin Owens. Pretty good match between the two of them. I feel like they gelled together. It worked. Good storytelling with the hands.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm liking Logan Paul. Like, his mannerisms are actually starting to grow on me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. So hopefully I don't get pissed off, with him not being around as much since he's carrying a belt. Like Roman, he's never around. Brock Lesnar was never around. That was even more frustrating than even I think Roman with his belt. But I just, if you're gonna have a title, you need to at least be there.
Yeah.
At least be there. You don't have to be wrestling every week, but at least be there and continue further the story along.
I
Good,
mean,
good
yeah.
match. How do you feel about the ending?
It could have been done on a SmackDown. I think that it was the needed match to give the crowd a break from Women's Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns retaining, and then Men's Royal Rumble coming up. You needed that match right in between, and so like I think that was the perfect match for Logan Paul to be there. I loved the chemistry between the challenger champion, uh, especially in the beginning with the introductions, where Kevin Owens is just deadpan, just staring at Logan Paul, just not even considering it a serious contest at all, And then you get into the wrestling match, and at one point they go, anything you could do I could do better type of thing, oh, I could do that, and it's just like that made for a really entertaining part of the match where instead of it being about Kevin Owens just beating him up or a Logan Paul just being an a-hole, you have an added layer to the storytelling of the match. In terms of the ending, like I said, I think he could have just done something like that on a SmackDown and called it a day. But it was what it was. I hope that my thing is I think that with all of the attention going on both Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, I think Logan Paul, his next opponent should be someone like an LA Knight, and I think that's probably where you go
That
from
I think
here.
that's exactly where they're going next in WrestleMania.
Yeah. And so even though it would have been cool to see Kevin Owens go over on Logan Paul because he's a professional wrestler, kind of defending professional wrestling, I think that in terms of booking a WrestleMania, you want to build LA Knight as your next one of the next faces of the company, let him take out a global superstar like Logan Paul, like a very famous face.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly where they're headed, for sure. I'm pretty sure LA Knight is getting Logan Paul. The only thing I'm afraid of is they, I mean, Kevin Owens kind of went off happy and stuff, you know, but there wasn't really like an official closure to that. So I'm afraid that there could be a payoff match somewhere down the line, with Kevin Owens and Logan Paul. Maybe Elimination Chamber, if I have to guess, because they
Yeah.
need to put butts in the seat, and it's in Australia. But I feel like Logan Paul's match is going to be against LA Knight at WrestleMania. And if we do see Logan and KO before that, Logan will probably get the clean win there for sure.
Yeah.
Let me see what we got here. I thought the KO Paul match was great. Yeah, it was pretty good. Ending was like, eh. I didn't love the rest of the card. I mean, listen, the rest of the card, I mean, it had its highs and lows. Let's be real. I thought both Rumbles lacked. Okay, so the men's Rumble, which we'll get to in a second, I felt like it was falling flat at times. Some people were saying that a couple guys were predictable. We'll get to that in a second. But they had their moments. Like we just talked a couple minutes ago about the Women's Royal Rumble, how it had its moments with Jade Cargill, and Chelsea Green being the comedy actor. She did some amazing job
Yeah.
selling her butt off, like Weekend at Bernie's, like they said last night. She was just like a dead horse out there. It was freaking hilarious. But it had its highs and lows. I think 2.5 is a little bit low for me. I'm gonna have to go somewhere between 3 and 3.5. Not far off from you, but I gotta go I gotta go at least a half a step up for sure. The Fatal Four Way, it wasn't. It was good. But like I said moments ago, I had my head down through a good half of it just because I already know who the winner was going to be. There was no reason for me to believe it was going to be any other winner than Roman Reigns. We already knew that, you know, Bloodline was going to come out solo, and we already knew that was going to happen. So we knew there was. Like I said, if you guys watched the prediction show, we knew the results of the show. I could have not even bothered, watching yesterday, and I would have not missed a thing because we pretty much predicted everything almost to the T. But yeah, Logan Paul is slowly earning respect for sure, and Logan should start defending the title at least once a month. I agree, or something close to it for sure.
You're gonna
Just
get
do a little
weekly
more.
viewers if people know that Logan Paul is going to be wrestling on a Friday night. People are gonna watch it. People are gonna record it. I think that is a great idea, and of course it's gonna be money.
They
Of
got to pay
course.
him a little more. He's gonna want a
Well, he
little bit
just
more money.
resigned.
Yeah,
So
but what they do is, in some of these contracts, especially like let's say like a part timer contract or a Brock Lesnar contract or something like that. When they sign these contracts, they agree to a certain amount of appearances a year.
yeah,
So I think Lesnar 1 year was like 20 appearances, so they had to use him sparingly. So when an important event came up, then you use them for a couple weeks on the road to build to that event. And before you know it, that's like 6 appearances right there. You're using just for 1 month, so you gotta use them wisely for sure. I definitely acknowledge your comments about gender. Mahal, let me see. Wayne wants one thing only: gender Mahal title run.
dude, I will say this, and we'll get to it at the very end, but I predicted incorrectly, but I did have a prediction that a few weeks ago, Jinder Mahal might actually take the title off of Seth Rollins and hold it just until like Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber, and Rollins can get it back. But like, I mean, now look, we got Seth Rollins on the shelf, but he's still holding the title. I'm like, you had a couple of weeks or a month where Jinder Mahal could have been running around. Look what I did. You know what I mean? But what are you going to do? Not to say that I wanted that to happen, but after the promo that he cut on The Rock and then Seth Rollins the next week and then a really strong match the next week, I think that, hey, I would not be upset entirely had that something like that happen. Don't hinder Jinder. He should have been in the Rumble
You
after
should.
the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Give him that Pat
Yeah.
McAfee spot. That was stupid.
You
But
should
anyway,
have.
we'll get to it.
But so let's jump right in. But
Yeah.
for those of you guys that are watching, feel free to leave comments, and we are getting to the men's Royal Rumble match right now as we speak. So, Joe, have at it. What are some things that stuck out to you? We didn't get many surprises in this one. I was
Yes.
hoping
Yeah.
for possibly Matt Cardona.
Yeah, that would have been so cool.
But we weren't going to get him because I believe he was on a Jericho cruise. I was hoping for Big E by Miracle. We didn't get that either.
Yeah.
What else do we? Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was supposed to be one of the entrants. Well,
Sorry.
we know why. I don't even think we're going to see Lesnar for a while, to be honest.
Ugh.
What are some of your takeaways before we start hitting the results?
Yeah, I think that it wasn't until the men's Royal Rumble, like halfway through the men's Royal Rumble, where I kind of realized, oh yeah, there's not a lot of legends. Like no legends have come out, and then it made me think, oh yeah, even in the women's, not really, no really legends. I mean, you have Natalia, but she's not really a legend, but no like old names coming in just to do a Royal Rumble spot. Not a lot of a couple of returns. Well, you have, of course, Andrade coming back. And he looks incredible.
Yeah, it's so weird how we just saw him like 4 weeks ago together at AEW World's End.
I know, and but at the same time, I think that you're right. It was just
4 weeks ago already. Jeez.
Against Miro. Yeah, he had a great match against Miro.
Yeah,
but now here he is. I just hope that they use him in a smart way. I hope that he just doesn't get lost in like the other, like the LWO Escobar Carlito. I hope that they kind of treat him like a possible champion and like kind of just like pushes him a little bit more. His English has gotten a little bit better.
Yeah.
So hopefully they use him. You also have Omos coming back. We haven't seen him in a little while.
Yes, I was happy to see him.
Yeah, I wish that he had a lot. I mean, and I feel this way about a lot about the big guys, but I just want to see them eliminate a whole bunch of people. Not just be the big threat, but also get them like they did with Kane. Like just let him toss them out. But at the same time, it was good to see him. He looks good.
Yeah, I mean, either way, Lesnar's spot was filled up. So I've heard Braun Breaker. I mean, I think Braun Breaker. I mean, this is just my opinion. I didn't read anything, but I would have thought that Braun Breaker was going to be in this Rumble all along.
Yeah, he looked great.
Yeah, and then you had the guy Carmelo Hayes from NXT too. In the Rumble match too as well. He had a good showing.
Dude, Carmelo could go.
Braun Breaker.
Both of these guys.
Braun Breaker is going to be. It's probably going to be the guy that WWE pushes. I want to guess. Let's just say as early as WrestleMania 43, 44. That timeline, and then into WrestleMania 50. That's going to be Braun Breaker's timeline, his era, I believe, as far as being the guy for WWE.
Yeah, you got both of these young guys, both Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, looking great, moving great, and they were booked in a way that made them look like future stars. Carmelo Hayes, he was on top of the turnbuckle, like on the corner. And then, was it Nakamura going for this corner, like knee hit or like kick, right? But then he like pops up and just lands on his feet. It was so cool. even though he got knocked down by a roundhouse from Nakamura right after that, but just seeing how athletic he is, crazy. And then you got Braun Breaker, built like a brick house, it's spearing everyone left and right, being real strong. I think that I think that this was a great way to introduce casual viewers to these new guys who are going to be future stars.
Oh, we got some good comments coming in. So let's just say, I mean, I really have to go back and watch last year's Rumble again to really determine if last year's Rumble is really better. But all I know is
I agree,
when we
actually.
talked about when we saw the last 7, like this was legit. The last 7 guys of last night's Rumble, like anybody could have we know where they're going with the storylines, but any one of those guys probably could have won the Rumble if we didn't really know where WWE's going. Like Drew McIntyre, Sami
Yeah.
Zayn, Gunther, Punk, Cody Rhodes, and there's 1 or 2 other guys that I'm not remembering right now, but I counted, there was 7 legit main eventers. Jey Uso, 7 main event potential guys that were closed out that men's Rumble match, and I was like, "Oh, this is good!" Like I was loving this. Had I not been really been aware of who the winner was going to be, I would have been like, "This is good stuff." Right here. So I was very happy with the guys that were remaining in the Royal Rumble match, the last 6-7 guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you're saying too, like, especially when it got down to the last 4, right? I was like, oh, okay, this is clearly going into the most predictable situation, But this comment here from Figgy Smash, I think last year's Rumble was way better. I agree, actually. And here's the reason why, because I remember it a year out. I still remember a lot of the moments. And what helped was both Cody Rhodes and Gunther starting the match and finishing the match. It was easy to kind of track. And you had a lot of these like face-offs. Like I remember Gunther having a face-off with Brock Lesnar at one point, and it was just like, oh wow, this is a possible matchup. Or like, and just like a lot of those moments I think could have happened this year. And instead, we were like, we got these 2 guys, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, who's basically hijacked a lot of our attention for the last couple of weeks, where we know where it's going. It's not a matter of who is going to win. It's going to be which one is going to win,
So my bold prediction was Cody and Punk going over at the same time. So I had it right with Cody and Punk being the last 2, but I was thinking maybe they can go over at the same time. I am very happy with the result because with Cody Rhodes winning this Rumble, they're a lot. I could probably sit here for 5 hours and tell you why Cody should be the winner, but you have the most organic storyline going into WrestleMania 40. You can state a case for Gunther winning. You can state a case for CM Punk winning. However, and The Rock, that stuff was all a bunch of smoke screen, to be honest. Rock has been doing this for years. So I was not by any chance convinced that The Rock was going to be at Mania. I'd have to believe it till I see it at this point. Cody Rhodes has been penciled in as to be the guy to take on Roman Reigns this year at WrestleMania 40, which it looks like it's headed that way. So nobody should be disappointed. Nobody who watches this podcast should be disappointed. None of my friends should be disappointed because I've been telling you since WrestleMania 39, I'm like, this isn't over. We're getting Roman versus Cody again. And you know what? We're getting it again, and I believe we're going to get a different result this time. Reason why it should also not be Gunther or Punk is because you got to think about the moment, the organic storyline. WWE's been feeding you finish the story all year long, spring, summer, fall. They've been dropping seeds, finish the story. So you knew this was headed this way. You knew that this was the plan all along. So there is no bigger moment. Not even The Rock versus Roman Reigns can deliver a bigger moment than Roman Reigns losing that belt. And there's no bigger stage to have Roman Reigns lose that belt than WrestleMania 40. And I tell everybody, just think of how WrestleMania 10 ended with Bret Hart, confetti being held on everyone's shoulders. WrestleMania 20, Benoit. Who can forget that Benoit Guerrero moment with confetti everywhere? I was there. WrestleMania 30, I was also there. Daniel Bryan, the major face who had to grind and climb and get to um, uh, his main event. It was just like they WWE had him like go through hurdles, but the fans wanted it so bad, so WWE had to give it to us. WrestleMania 30, Daniel Bryan wins. WrestleMania 40, another 10-year anniversary. This is how you got to do it, and there's no bigger moment that you can give wrestling fans at WrestleMania, specifically WrestleMania 40, than Roman Reigns losing and being pinned in a singles match for the first time in 5 years and losing that title to Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is finishing the story. Yes, Gunther. You can have Gunther win the Rumble, Punk and stuff, but WWE is working towards the bigger moment here. So that's why Cody had to win. Because if you have Cody lose the Rumble and Punk wins, so here's the thing: Roman's on SmackDown, Cody's on Raw. So the easiest, cleanest way to get Cody to SmackDown is just have him win the Rumble. Because if you do it any other way, it just gets convoluted. So what happens? You have Punk win the Rumble. How do you get Cody to SmackDown then? So Punk is already on Raw with Seth. Have him do a number one contender match. Easy as that. Cody wins the Rumble. Easiest and most justifiable way to get him to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. What do you got to say about that?
Yeah,
That was a lot.
No, you're absolutely correct in thinking about all of these WrestleManias in the last 40 years, right? And of course, every WrestleMania needs to be the most important WrestleMania. It's just like The Bachelor. I don't know if you ever watched The Bachelor or Bachelorette, but every season they always say the most dramatic season yet. Every WrestleMania needs to be the most important WrestleMania in history because it's right now. It's what's most important right now. The dollars that are going to be spent and earned only matter right now. You know what I mean? So when we think about it that way, this is the cleanest and easiest story for them to finish and also end WrestleMania 40. And like we said at the start of the show, like it's a pivotal turning point in professional wrestling. A moment like ending Roman Reigns' super long title run, I think is the best way to really set things in motion where professional wrestling's headed. Just like you mentioned, especially with like someone like a Daniel Bryan. Imagine that's 10 years ago.
I was there. I'm mind blown even thinking about it right now, to be honest.
Benoit and Eddie Guerrero 20 years ago. Are you kidding me?
Don't even tell me that.
Like that. I remember like it was yesterday, like getting goosebumps seeing the confetti with Daniel Bryan.
Oh my gosh.
So you're right. You're absolutely right.
You know what?
WrestleMania needs to end that way.
The Cody Rhodes story right now is the most organic story to continue. There's no sense in having Punk in there right now. Had he been there for a couple years, then maybe, but there's no sense. Punk just got there. That's his first match. He's gonna come in and win the Rumble right away in his first match. No, heck no. There's Cody who's been there for a couple of years now. He even wrestled with torn pectoral. He has earned his dues. He is ready to go. CM Punk has got something to prove. So you gotta have CM Punk grind to WrestleMania. I have no problem with him winning the title of WrestleMania, but it's got to be Seth's title, and you have to have him earn it a little bit. You can't just have him come in, waltz in, and win the Rumble just like that. You're also stepping on toes too as well.
There's a big difference between
stepping on a bunch of toes, but not to his fault though.
I mean, that's his MO. You know what I mean? Like, but there's a big difference between the WrestleMania 10 years ago when CM Punk was still here versus now. You know what I mean? There's 2 nights. There's 2 main events.
Yeah.
So it's not like if all he really wants is to main event WrestleMania, you got 2 nights to do it. Cody Rhodes
And
has
you know what?
one.
It,
You
it,
know,
it wasn't supposed to be Punk main evented this year.
no, not at
It
all. Who
was not.
knew?
That
Just a couple of
that
months
night
ago, who
one
knew?
main event. If we think back to October, that penciled in main event was Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch
To end the show.
to end the night one, and they
Yeah,
deserve that spot.
sure. And I wouldn't blame them for doing it. But now,
And
you
maybe they
know,
still might, but CM Punk is, he's his head's up, up as you know what, but he's
yeah,
got
well,
contract clauses and stuff. But so he's got to get what he wants. But it is
that's
what it
fine.
is.
Give it to him because
Yeah,
there's 2 nights. Give it to him.
yeah.
But it also begs the question: like, does it make night 1 main event any less of a main event? I think it's still a main event. I mean, look at Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn closing
Oh,
out night 1. That's
yeah,
a main event. That was huge.
that was. But you
You
know
know,
what? They made that the main event. It was the story built around it.
you're
They
right.
did a good job building that story.
Yeah.
That made a main event worthy right there. I mean, Seth versus CM Punk. I mean, they're not going to be night 2. I can tell you that, but they are night 2 main event worthy.
For sure.
But everyone there guaranteed the main events we all know is Roman versus Cody.
Yeah.
That's happening. That is the main storyline WWE is rolling with, and I can't wait because you know what? At least on the Raw side, or this. Hold on. So Cody's you would think he'd probably go to SmackDown if he wins the belt, but should they do a switcheroo? I mean, it's just going to open up new matchups, new feuds.
Yeah.
So that belt needs to come off of Reigns.
Yeah.
We've seen it all already.
I wouldn't be surprised if after
There's-
Mania they're going to
yeah.
do another superstar shakeup or a draft or something like that, where they're going to start to reorganize, restructure things from there. But I think, first things first, we got to get these guys to WrestleMania. We got to make sure Seth Rollins makes it to Mania. He says that he'll be fine. I'm wondering if the injury is, part of it is definitely sure he needs to heal up, but I'm wondering how much of it might be a little bit of a work in terms of just like making it seem like he's really, really hurt and might not make it to Mania. Meanwhile, no, he just needs some time off, but he'll definitely be there. I hope it's that, but who knows? My hope is that Rollins will be fine for Mania so that he can finish this whole Punk thing, get it behind him.
Some of these meniscus tears, meniscus tears usually like around if you were to get surgery on that's a 6 to 8 week process. MCL, there's different grades of tears. So it was probably like a grade 1, grade 2 at the most. So those you can actually rehab to get better. I would imagine Punk is probably winning the belt from Seth to give Seth time off to further heal from that. We also had another comment. Punk wins the world title, will add more prestige to the title. I don't think so. I don't think we'll add more prestige. I think
I think it might still be too
maybe
soon to say.
But
yeah,
Seth Rollins is doing one heck of a job. Like with that belt. Like
he's the only person who's had it. So I mean, you got to give it some time.
Really good. Yeah, he's done good. I want to know about like prestige, more prestige, but it definitely keeps it important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another comment. Wish we also saw Okada. He should go to WWE, not
cool.
AEW. So to my knowledge, the rumor is, and Mike, I'm sure you're reading the same stuff. I am. I haven't really. I'm hearing NXT at first, and then maybe he'll go up from there. But I'm hearing could be NXT. So maybe I'm thinking. I don't know if they'll do it Valentine's, Vengeance Day, whatever they call it.
I don't know, man.
But I hear it's NXT. I'm hearing
if you're Okada and you have WWE saying you're gonna go to NXT first and then WWE versus you have AEW is like, yeah, we'll put you on Collision. You could fight Edge or you could do whatever you want here. You already had a great match with freaking Danielson. You know, I think that AEW is a better fit for Okada. In my opinion, I think that, but heck, I mean, if Okada comes to WWE, like that's like a huge name. And if they do it right, I think you might be right that NX like treat him like you're treating Jade Cargill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could feature him, say that we signed him, take all the pictures, but yeah, develop him first, and then bring him up. I think that might be the smarter choice. If you're Okada though, and you've already had many, many, many years of being this megastar, like, is that what you really want to do, or do you want to be the big fish in a big pond right
For
away?
sure. When I saw these rumors again, it just seemed like a little off to me.
Yeah.
I would think honestly, I would love to see Nakamura challenge another mystery opponent, maybe like night one, because there's gonna be a lot
Ooh.
going on night two.
That would be cool. Give him a Cody Rhodes treatment. Like, yeah,
Give
Nakamura wants to.
Okada the Cody Rhodes treatment and bring him in
Yeah.
as a mystery opponent against Nakamura and go
Yeah.
from there. That would be pretty cool. I think you can do that.
That would be sick.
And they know each other, so it would work.
Yeah.
I don't know why Hogan kept saying he was going to come. Yeah, I don't know why either. Like he was probably there chilling backstage. This is 40 years of WrestleMania. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. This is 40 years of Hulkamania. Hulkamania started 1985 in January of 85. So yeah, 40 years already. Jeez. I was like 4 years old at that point. No. I was 3. So Hulkamania started 84. So yeah. But yeah. All right. So let's close out the show with this because it's getting late. Where do we go from here?
Dude, we're on the road to WrestleMania, man. Where we got next? We got Elimination Chamber in Australia,
Yes.
and then nothing between that and Mania, right?
Nope.
Yeah, so I think that, Elimination Chamber, you build it around the Raw brand to see who's going to get the number one spot. You can also do the same thing with whoever, for Rhea Ripley. Maybe Rhea Ripley goes into the Elimination Chamber and defends it against 5 other people. That would be kind of cool.
That's very possible. She's definitely going to be there. You would figure Bronson Reed's going to be there. I would say maybe it's part of like a number one contender match for sure.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what's his name? Grayson Waller is going to be there.
Yeah.
Got to have those guys on there.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So as it stands now, WrestleMania is already shaping up. We're gonna have Jimmy versus Jey Uso. That's happening.
Yeah.
They gave us a little taste of it, and
Yeet versus no yeet.
yeah, pretty much.
I like it. I'm into it.
LA Knight will definitely probably get Logan Paul for sure.
Sami Zayn and Drew
McIntyre probably.
I mean, they seem to just have a grudge match,
Yeah, you could definitely do that. They've already, there's some hints with Jay Cargill, Nia Jax, and possibly Bianca Belair. I think that's Bianca Belair's match, to be honest with you, because I can't think of anything for her to do right now other than
keep it non-title, keep it just a contenders match,
Yeah, or I mean, who knows what they'll do? Maybe they become friends first and do like I liked how they had like the little mime stuff going and looking at each other face to face.
Yeah,
they have like the same physique. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We know we're getting Roman versus Cody. I got Cody coming out there. I'm even long term booking. I believe Gunther's going to be the guy to beat Cody Rhodes at the end of this year, maybe Survivor Series.
I love it
because of last year's interaction. And even
even this year they had the same.
The smart wrestling fans going to know that they want Cody versus Gunther. They're going to try to get there. I don't know what they do with Gunther now. The plan was Gunther versus Brock Lesnar for the IC title, and Gunther was going to go over. I don't know what's going to happen there. You got to figure Judgment Days could possibly lose it before Mania or by Mania. I would think maybe DIY. women's tag teams. That's kind of like up in the air. They're still kind of heating up that division a little bit. And then yeah, am I missing the title? I think we basically kind of covered most of what we think is gonna happen. I guess Elimination Chamber is like 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
So, and that's gonna be at 4 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right. What are you gonna do? Set an alarm, I guess.
um, Damian Priest cash in. Oh
Oh yeah,
man,
you got to do it.
Wouldn't that be screwed up if Priest cashes in on Cody Rhodes' celebration at Mania?
Let him be like a champion for
Oh
like a
gosh,
minute
talk about getting heat on Damian Priest.
to end the show. Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, he would be a heat magnet. Listen, I mean, I doubt that's gonna happen because this is Cody
Yeah.
Rhodes' moment. But if you really want to get heat on a guy, oh my gosh, he'd be the most hated.
You know what? I
He-
honestly thought so. A couple, or whatever. This past Monday, when Seth Rollins was giving his speech or whatever about being injured, and Gunther came in, I thought it should have been Priest. I thought that should have been a great opportunity to Priest, like, hey, I know you're injured, but business is business. Let me get that belt real quick, type of deal. And then he gets to hold it just until Mania, and then or just until whenever Rollins is back. Let Priest versus Punk, be a match, but it's not going to be Priest versus Punk being a main event. That's not a main event.
yeah.
So I mean, I don't know.
Honestly, Priest is not. Yeah, I mean, I doubt Priest is gonna have anything to do with Cody. I think
Not
it's
till
probably
after
gonna be
Mania,
more with
probably.
the road. I think it's gonna be more with the roads. I'm sorry. I think it's gonna be more with like along Seth Rollins and Punk. I can see Damian Priest cashing in on the aftermath of that match, probably more so than the Cody Roman. But you're right. Jinder is my favorite wrestler of all time.
You know what? They should get a
God.
3MB reunion tour.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Jinder looks great. Drew's not doing too much other than fighting Sami Zayn right now. Better time to bring in Heath. Heath's got kids. Get a 3MB
Needs money.
reunion.
He needs money to support the kids in the pool.
The band's back together. Get them back.
Oh my goodness gracious. They all, well, I mean, other than Heath, but they all came a long way since 3MB. No, he's still doing his thing, but
He's doing his thing. He's all right.
yeah. But unless you guys have any comments, Joe, so tell us about some of the projects that you're working on right now.
Yeah, I'm really excited to announce that I'm actually going to be playing around with my own solo podcast. It's going to be called the Pod and Guts Wrestling Show, and I am going to be launching that pretty much closer to WrestleMania season. They have one. There we go. Thanks, Wayne. We got the preview episode is available on Spotify, and I will be soon out with like a Instagram and all of that, and it'll be, I'm sure, a nice, fun chapter of my own podcasting journey. But I hope to have Wayne on there, as a guest and co-host every once in a while. We're going to be. My hope is that we're going to be doing some like rewatching and some reviewing some of the things in the past type of deal. Of course, reacting to the big news and whatnot. But it's going to be just like a fun journey that I'm going to be heading on. So the Pod and Guts Wrestling Show. Stay tuned for more. You can check out the preview on Spotify now.
Joe, Joe, we can't wait for just to see how the show comes to fruition. And those of you guys that are following and listening, make sure you guys follow that and hit that subscribe and the like button so you can get the alerts. You're on iTunes, Spotify?
Spotify right now. Will be
Okay.
on Apple real soon.
Okay, cool, awesome. Yep. So make sure you guys follow Pod and Guts Wrestling Podcast on Spotify. Check that episode out. Sign up, subscribe, and make sure you guys get those alerts. So Joe's gonna have some good content coming. I am definitely believing in that for sure. So I can't wait to see what happens. But those of you guys that are watching, thank you so much for hopping on tonight. yeah, a lot to unpack, especially with the men's Royal Rumble side of things. And um, I've been calling this for 10 months now with Cody Rhodes. You guys, everybody got to give me
Yeah, dude.
props. Everybody's got to acknowledge me. No, I'm just messing. But I definitely I will definitely pat myself on the back for this one though, for sure. Um, but yeah, it's a good time. I'll be all teary eyed at WrestleMania when Cody wins his belt in Philadelphia. I cannot wait. We're only 7 weeks away, inside 7 weeks away from WrestleMania 40. I cannot wait. We're going to try to get another show out to you guys soon, hopefully sometime in between now and Elimination Chamber. But the latest, we'll have an Elimination Chamber post show for sure, and prediction show as things start unraveling. But those of you guys that are watching, thank you so much. Please feel free to like. I know you guys are subscribed already, but share this with your friends, your wrestling buddies, and thank you so much for your support. And you guys all have a good night, Joe.
Good night,
You
Wade.
have an excellent night. Talk to you soon.